And I want you to know one thing. It's been a pleasure. You just like to dance, don't you, Carl?
That's right.
You like to dance. That was famous. Hello, welcome to 101. I'm your host, Greg Walker. I hope you tuned in last week. Our guest is back for show number 2. We had a really good time. We had a lot of laughs. Head coach Dave Loos, retired now from Austin Peay State University, visited with us. First time we've had him on the show since his retirement. And we reminisced about a lot of different things, reminisced about his background and coming up through high school and Memphis and getting into his coaching career. Today we're going to have a lot of fun as well. We're going to talk about a wide variety of things. You know, some basketball is going to be there, but I want you to settle back, relax, and once again, enjoy a fun, down-to-earth conversation with a fine gentleman. My friend Dave Loos joins us for show number 2 right after these words.
It's the 2017 Model Year-End event. Thank you for voting Matthews Nissan Clarksville's favorite new car dealer.
You're going to love our selection.
Save big.
This new Altima for $16,977 or this new Versa automatic and air for only $10,977.
$6,377 off the MSRP on a new Rogue. Unbelievable.
You're going to love our prices.
MatthewsNissan.com.
You're gonna love our prices. Matthews Nissan.
The Leaf Chronicle is now available on every device you carry or don't carry. All things Clarksville in all media 24/7. Subscribe now for full access.
For 100 years, Neil Tarpley Parchman Funeral Home has celebrated legacies with services as unique as each life.
Neil Tarpley Parchman, people who care, a name you can trust.
Welcome to our show today. Head coach Dave Loos, show number 2.
How are you, Greg?
Good, Coach. We left off last show. We had a good time. We left off last show, though. You were playing in Memphis, and y'all had gone to the NIT your sophomore year. Eligibility back then, freshmen couldn't play to 72, 73. But anyway, your influence from those years with Moaba, I think you were telling me, that's where your defensive concentration came from.
Yeah, I'm deeply indebted to Coach Iba, for what I learned, and that I'm grounded in that to this day, defensively. And I also met a guy at Memphis who was one of the assistant coaches named Bob Stevenson, and he has been a great mentor to me. We talk every week still. He's 86 years old. But he has been a great friend to me and a terrific mentor. I think the best blend of coach and human being that I've been around. And he was always honest with me and very good to me too. He hired me at Christian Brothers. He became the athletic director at Christian Brothers and basketball coach. And then when he got out of basketball, he hired me as the head coach there at Christian Brothers. But I learned a lot. I had a lot of good coaches as a young player and through college, and I thought that was pretty cool. I think when I realized I wasn't going to be able to continue playing basketball or baseball for lack of talent.
Well, you did have a chance as a baseball player. You thought maybe to get drafted.
I did, and I think we talked about in the last show. I could field and throw, but had a little trouble at the plate. Probably ended my career, but the next best thing was coaching.
What was your lifetime average at Memphis hitting?
Hitting?
Yeah.
Oh, I was if 250 was.
No, you were better than that. I remember seeing. Come on.
I don't honestly know what my lifetime average was.
I think Dave and I looked it up one time.
Is that right?
Yeah, you better than that. You were a player.
Yeah, I do remember a game where I got 5 hits, and for a while that was a record at Memphis.
Well,
but now there's
yeah.
a guy that had 7, I think. So, yeah.
Well, you're in the Memphis Hall of Fame.
Find out who that pitcher was that he got 7 hits off of.
You didn't get in the Memphis Hall of Fame for nothing either.
Well,
I'm
proud of that. Yes.
All right. Of course, when you came to Austin Peay, you were at Christian Brothers.
I was at Ole Miss.
Were you?
Yeah, I went to. I'm sorry. Let me back up. I was at Ole
Memphis.
Miss. I was at Christian Brothers. Went to Ole Miss, okay, and then got the job at Austin Peay. I was at Austin Peay a short time, then came back to Memphis with Larry Finch, and got the job here from Memphis.
Yeah, you weren't at Austin Peay a short time and went back though. Say that again.
No, I was at Christian Brothers.
Right.
Okay.
You were head basketball coach.
Right. Went to Ole Miss for a short time, and then got right after that is when Memphis let Dana Kirk go. Larry Finch became the head coach, and I joined his staff
At Memphis.
and then got the Austin Peay job from Memphis.
From
I'm sorry.
Memphis.
Yeah.
When you got the Austin Peay job, what were your thoughts in that process when you came here?
Well, I don't know whether you remember, but
I remember I was the first to interview you when you got here.
yeah.
And by the way, I'll say this, he'll say it too. I've interviewed Coach Loos more than anyone. No one's ever interviewed him more.
He just hung around long enough that that's a fact.
For both of us.
Yeah. Well, I remember mostly, I guess, the final 4 guys that were interviewed here. It was
I remember the final 2.
myself and Tubby Smith,
Yeah.
but Terry Truax, who was from DeMatha in Washington, D.C., and Bob Weltlich, who was a Bob Knight assistant
Yep.
at the time. So, going in, to be quite honest, I didn't really think my chances were real great, but I was in the system, I was in the TBR, and so I gave it a go, and things just worked out for me. Tubby was.
Tim Weiser was the AD.
Yeah, Tim Weiser was the AD. Oscar Page was the president,
Yep.
and Tubby was an assistant at Kentucky at the time. So, anyway. Long story short, things worked out for me, but I've got a great story about Tubby that's related to this. Tubby goes to Kentucky as the head coach a little later and
Right.
wins the national championship his first year, and gets a huge contract following that. And it's in July, and my wife happens to be walking through the living room at our home, and they're announcing Tubby's new contract. And she was carrying a load of laundry and stopped when she heard that and looked at me and said, "What in the world happened to you?" I said, "Oh, that guy can't even keep a job. He's moved around." But anyway, that was the story of how I got started at Memphis. And, I think we were 15 and 14 the first year, and then followed that with a couple of tough years. But I met Bubba Wells right after that, and he kind of turned this thing around. We had some other good players with him.
Jermaine Savage, Joe Sibbett.
I think Jermaine's still the best defender we've ever had here, no doubt about it. We called him Coop. But we had Sibbett, who's still the all-time three-point shooter in the OVC.
Yep.
Bubba, who was, everybody knows Bubba, how good a player he was. Coop, Reggie Crenshaw. I mean, it really got rolling then.
When you talk about Sibbett, I think back, we're playing at Moorhead. If we beat Moorhead, we win the conference outright that night, up at Moorhead, which Escala was their main player, if you remember. Yeah. And anyway, Bubba fouled out. Bubba had 46. He fouled out with about 4.5 minutes to go in the game. Anyway, you set up a wonderful last play. It's a long pass to Crenshaw, baseball pass to Crenshaw. And Crenshaw's at the top of the key. And you got two guards sprinting down on each side. And you got a freshman guard over here, and you got Joe Sibbett over here. And I never will forget this. And we get the last shot to win this thing, see. They threw it to Crenshaw. And who does Reggie throw it to? Not the 3 points leader in the history of the OVC. We go with the freshman guard. And he's right there, this freshman, you know, David and I, we're right there. It was online, but it wasn't meant to be. They did come down for the first round, though. After that, we blew them out. You know, and we'll forget that. But you remember that play?
I do.
You know.
I've seen that one work a bunch of times.
Oh, man, that's a great play.
We used that play at Memphis, and of course, the classic example is Bryce Drew, you know, against Ole Miss in the NCAA tournament. That was the same play. So,
how do you think he's going to do it, Van?
I think he's going to do well.
So
I really do. I think he's a good recruiter. He's recruited states around the area. He has great overseas ties. He's a good basketball coach. He's got his dad to lean on.
Right there.
He's got his dad right there.
They go to every game. They've moved to Nashville.
Terrific coach, too.
Yeah.
Homer Drew was a terrific coach. He was from St. Louis also. He's from Lafayette High School. So I think he's going to do well.
I hope so. I really do. My wife, I've got to ask you this during this show. How and when did you meet Phyllis?
Phyllis and I went to high school together, is the short answer. Her first 2 years, she was at Bayless High School, which was a neighboring school, and then moved into the Melville district. So we were at the same high school our last 2 years. She went to the University of Missouri then, and I went to Memphis, and that long-distance relationship, you know, was a strain, especially playing two sports at Memphis. And so we were not together for while I was the rest of my time at Memphis, and then got back together after my career at Memphis was over. She joined United Airlines, was a flight attendant for several years. So we reconnected.
You reconnected.
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history.
4 children later.
God bless her.
9 grandchildren. Dave Loos, show number 2. We'll be back with segment 2 right after this.
The Leaf Chronicle is now available on every device you carry or don't carry. All things Clarksville in all media 24/7. Subscribe now for full access.
Still visiting with retired head coach Dave Loos. Had him on the last 2 shows. It's been a lot of fun reminiscing. We could do a lot more, believe me. Think all the stories we got, Coach.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
We just sit here even between and we go on. I remember our NIT trip that we took. We played George Mason. You know, that's the same. They had 3 of those players that played on that team that went to the Final Four 2 years after that.
Jim Larinaga was the coach.
Yeah, sure. He's at Miami now.
Yeah.
But, man, and we were so close to winning that game up there. But, you remember that gal that night? We were down, came in those white pants. We had two Austin Peay supporters there with us.
No, I don't know what you're talking about, Greg.
I tried to embarrass everybody. Y'all all were just looking. I said, I paid $20 to watch her put those on. Y'all
Next.
Next, that's right. Coach, everybody said, which teams do you remember best?
Oh, gosh.
That's hard, isn't it?
It is.
Let me go over something for you, real quick. 95-96 team, certainly an NCAA team. 96-97 team, we tied for first. 2002-3 NCAA, that team was 23-8, 13-3. 2003-2004, that team was 22-10, 16-0. Actually 18-0, lost our 19th game to Murray in the finals. Corey Gibson got kneed in that game. That hurt us badly. They spread it out, went one-on-one with our sub in that game. 2006 and 7, NIT 21-12, 2007-8, 24-11. NCAA, your last, your team that won 4 straight in the OVC tournament, unheard of, went to NCAA. That's a lot of great memories right there.
They really are,
Going through all those teams.
So let me back up. Was the question, which team do I remember the most, or which one was best?
Or do you remember? Yeah. Do you got fond memories of them all?
I do, and it's
think
kind
it was
of a
which
shame.
teams.
But I have I don't know whether it's just my nature or what it is, but I have a tendency to remember some negative things.
I'm the same way.
And the team that I wish I had over to do again was the team that lost to Eastern Illinois in the
Conference
championship game.
OVC.
And there's been so many great memories, and we had so many great memories with that team. And we went to Alaska and beat Colorado and Utah State.
And they were loaded.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Utah State was good.
They were really good.
They went to NCAA that year.
But I think that I remember reading something that Dave Link wrote after that game, that we needed to forget about all the defensive emphasis and let's just go out score people, because that was a really good team. And I understand what he was saying, but this is what people, I don't think a lot of people realize, that Eastern Illinois scored on 15 consecutive possessions.
I've pointed that out.
In the second half. Either a free throw or a field goal on 15 consecutive possessions.
And a lot of them were three-pointers.
Right. So, I didn't think the defensive thing that idea quite fit there, because it was in fact defense.
They were on fire.
Trenton played great defense on the last possession. I don't know whether you remember, but I mean, he was all over Hill, forcing him. He altered a shot, forced him to shoot an air ball, and that's when the guy grabbed it and went back up, and the goaltending was called. So, that's one that sticks out. It's still a knot in my stomach. When they put me in the ground, that knot will still be there. But there were a lot of great teams. I mean, I think back, and when you're talking about over the years, we beat Tennessee, beat Memphis.
That's one of my favorite wins of all time, was the Tennessee win, by the way.
Beat Colorado and Utah State out there, and we beat St. Louis twice. All of the the NCAA games. Those are teams that I really remember.
Here's a loss you'll remember. Freedom Hall. What an atmosphere, to Kentucky.
Right.
I mean, we take them to the water. 40 seconds left in that game. They went out to a 9-0 lead. 40 seconds left in the game, and we've got one of our better, not only free throw shooters at the line to shoot 2 to tie. Missed them both.
Yeah. Right.
Missed him. And he's one of our best free throw shooters.
Yeah. And that was a good Kentucky team. But,
yeah.
That was New Year's. Played on New Year's afternoon.
Tubby said over the intercom system, I don't know if you remember or not, after that game, our guys are out there. They're listening. You hadn't come yet to be, you were still interviewing in the back.
I was back there crying.
Whatever, I was too, Willie Coach. But he said somebody asked him in the press conference, media conference, if he was disappointed that his team played that way against, he said, look, he said, that's the best defensive team we've played by far to this point. And he said, I'm going to tell you something else. He said, that's probably the best defensive team we'll play all year.
Wow.
That's what he said. Well, after that, our guys heard that too. And we went 16-0 in the conference after that. We went on a tear.
Exactly. I mean, and that was a team that...
We put some lockdown defense on people now.
That was a team that could get 4 stops in a row if they had to.
They could do it.
Until we could find a way to get a basket.
That's right.
Yeah. And, you know, it's something interesting about that team. Corey Gibson was on that team.
He was the point guard.
Corey lost 1 home game while he was at Three Rivers. 1 home game in his 2 years there. And he never lost a home game at Austin Peay. And that was the kind of mindset that team had. It wasn't just Corey, but that's a fact. He lost 1 home game in 4 years. And that
had
was at Three Rivers.
Wearsby at 2, had Anthony Davis at 3, had the great Adrian Henning the 4, and Josh Lewis was the center.
Right, and
those guys,
all good defenders. Now Anthony would take a lot of chances, you know. But
that's when he got some east steals.
But he had Josh Lewis back there to correct
they
those.
They all did.
To correct those mistakes.
Bat it away.
That's right.
They all
did. I still have a picture of a Murray State game where Josh blocked that shot on the baseline.
Was that beautiful?
Still known as
Victor,
the block.
The block.
Right.
Victor.
Yeah.
You know,
So a lot of great memories with those teams. And
is Adrian Henning? He's a Hall of Famer at Austin Peay, don't get me wrong, but is he one of the most unsung Governor greats ever?
Might be the most unsung.
I mean, this
he
guy was fabulous.
Yeah, he played until just recently professionally.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And he started, well, he played a lot as a freshman. Jake Wade started at the 2, but Adrian was getting in there more, you know.
Yeah.
He played a lot.
Terrific player.
Terrific. Yeah. And man, what kind of ups did he have? Bring that basketball back here.
Well, you could get hurt going up there after him.
Needed an oxygen mask, didn't you? Dave Loos is our guest. Oh, our final segment. How to close it out. We got so much more we could talk about. Back after this.
It's the 2017 Model Year-End event. Thank you for voting Matthews Nissan Clarksville's favorite new car dealer.
You're going to love our selection.
Save big.
This new Altima for $16,977 or this new Versa automatic and air for only $10,977.
$6,377 off the MSRP on a new Rogue. Unbelievable.
You're going to love our prices.
MatthewsNissan.com.
You're gonna love our prices. Matthews Nissan.
100 years, Neil Tarpley Parchman Funeral Home has honored legacies. We believe every family deserves a special time of celebrating a life well lived.
Neil Tarpley Parchman, people who care, a name you can trust.
Folks, we got less than 4 minutes left. Show number 2. So many places we could go. I'm glad to hear you're going to write a book.
Well, I'm going to write an account of you know, my time in coaching, and obviously the biggest part of that was at Austin Peay. And, you know, I just think, first of all, from a selfish standpoint, it's going to be fun to do. I really am looking forward to it. You know, we've had such a great time just sitting here talking about the players and coaches and, you know.
Our friends around the game.
Exactly, exactly. So
think how many friends we've made in this conference.
Exactly. There's so much material there, and I'd really like to spend a lot of time reflecting. And so I'm looking forward to doing that. And you know, as I look back, Greg, I think the thing that really has been the most rewarding for me is to have these guys come back, and you know they've got their families and they're established in business, and it's so rewarding because that's really what it's all about, is helping, changing lives and transforming lives.
That's what coaching is.
It is.
It's teaching.
Sure. Yeah, I think so many times it's, you know, you need to try to help mentor these guys when they're going through their 4 years here, and so it should be coach and mentor, not just coaching. It's not just about X's and O's. It's about life lessons, and hopefully we've been able to do some of that. That's the most rewarding part to me.
Do you look today at coaches and you pick out coaches that, hey, my son, he would play for him, or I wouldn't have my son playing for him?
Yeah, you have a tendency to do that. You sure do. And, you know,
I do the same thing.
Exactly. And I think it comes down to, is it just about basketball with them, or, you know, is there a bigger picture? But I'm a fan of coaches, and in particular, those kinds of guys.
Yeah, I am also. What about Bob Knight? Would you have had a son play for Bob? That's good.
He was a great coach.
He was a great coach.
Yeah, he had it.
You had to know when you went there what you were going to get into.
Yeah, and I think most people did.
And I think that, hey, if you want that kind of discipline, and if you wanted that, that's a good place for you.
So I had a high school player, Greg, a 6'9" guy named Mike Lom, who ended up going to Loyola of Marymount, stayed 1 year, and then went to Murray. A brilliant guy. He's got like 2 or 3 degrees today, works for Boeing. But I remember assistant coach from Indiana coming in, and the first question he asked me after practice was, do you think this kid can play for Coach Knight? And I said, to be quite honest, I think he would struggle. He's just not a kid that could probably
it's like going into Marines.
Do that. And yeah, exactly, a good example. Like. So, you know, it had to be the right fit, but he was a great basketball coach, no question about that.
Coach, final comment, we got to go.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate it very much. Had a great time.
I appreciate it. Tell the family hello, everybody. Steve Sawyer, thanks to you for tuning in. Tell the coach hello when you see him. For yours truly, Greg Walker. Until next time, have a nice rest of the day, folks.